I contacted the Mayo Clinic. I said, these results for the type 1 diabetics are amazing. I said, have you ever done this with type 2 diabetics? They said, yes, we have. We had great results. I said, did you publish it somewhere? No, we weren't able to publish it. The results were so dramatic that the publishers wanted us to repeat the experiment before we would publish them.
Welcome back to our podcast, you guys. I'm Virgil, and welcome back to our episode. And this is Dr. Jesse Haggard. How you doing, buddy?
Doing good.
So today we're going to talk about the books he wrote with the awful experience that he clearly went through. And let's go.
So when I came back to Arizona,
okay,
I got involved in doing a wellness program with my family, who are all chiropractors. And we did a wellness program with nutrition, exercise, supplements, and it went pretty well. And after I was doing the research on all the different areas, including detoxification and some other things, then I felt like I had enough information to write another book. So I was writing a nutrition book, and most of our patients were diabetic. Again, that's not because that's what I love, it's just that's what I had experience with, and that's, who kept walking in the door. And so I originally wrote this nutrition book focused on reducing blood sugars and helping mostly type 2 diabetics have better blood sugars with just nutrition, and hopefully being able to minimize their requirement for drugs like insulin and other oral medications. And in doing that, I ended up being really upset when the American Diabetes Association released their new guidelines for nutrition for diabetics. Because the problem I was having is when I would educate diabetic patients with certain dietary recommendations, they would get on the internet and say, the American Diabetes Association doesn't recommend what you're telling me. They recommend the standard American diet. And then of course, well, how's that working for you?
It's kind of like that food pyramid thing, which was a total bullshit thing.
The food pyramid is horrible.
Remember when we grew up to that food pyramid? I lived for that thing, and I thought that was the best thing in the world. And then when I grew up, I realized it was bullshit.
Yeah, it's nonsense. The whole thing was based on Ansel Keys, which, by the way, Gary Taubes, whoever knows him will know what I'm talking about. He is amazing researcher. He also has a degree from Harvard. So you'll like him.
I met him. I met him at Harvard. I was there for a long time.
But Gary Taubes has written multiple articles and books on nutrition that are just amazing. He identified a lot of the problems with the food pyramid and the science behind the food pyramid and all the recommendations and the national guidelines about nutrition. In 2002, he wrote an article, What If It's All Been a Big Fat Lie? Talking about should we really be avoiding fat in our diet? And so he started to really turn the nutrition world on its head. He had written several books that pointed out the actual science behind nutrition. And nutrition is interesting. It's almost like a cult. People kind of get religious about nutrition. Like they just believe in it, like, but they don't really have the science to back it up.
Well, there's 900 different diets. The keto, the meat diet, the vegetarian diet. Like, come on, dude.
So in working with diabetics, I had a lot of observations with patients on which diets work best for diabetes, which ones could minimize or even eliminate their requirements for drugs, and also which ones could reverse type 2 diabetes. So I had lots of patients reverse their diabetes, and it was typically with a low carb diet. And there's lots of variations of low carb diets, but that was pretty simple too. My analogy is if you were lactose intolerant, meaning you have difficulty digesting lactose from dairy products, I would tell you to minimize your consumption of dairy products.
Makes sense.
But other people might say, well, you're fine, you can have as much lactose as you want, just take an enzyme to digest it. So now you're relying on this medication or supplement. But the concept's the same. So if you have a difficult time digesting carbohydrate and utilizing carbohydrate,
Don't take carbohydrates.
Don't eat as much carbohydrate.
Hey!
It's kind of simple concept to me.
That ain't even science. That's just common sense. Let's be honest.
So when they re-released their guidelines, it was 2015. They basically regurgitated the same stuff they've been doing for 20 years.
Yeah.
Which was nonsense. It was like a 50% carbohydrate diet. I mean, 50%. Like half your diet's going to be the thing you can't digest.
Yeah, because on the pyramid, I remember the breads are the bottom one. So that basically means take more. And nowadays, carbs are, I'm not even a doctor and I can tell you carbs suck, but they're really good. Not going to lie. Pastas, I'm Italian. I need my spaghetti, you know?
And with that, I remember contacting one of my old professors who specialized in diabetes. And I told her, I said, I can't believe this. Like, they said they had incorporated all this science and they had a committee and a panel and they were going to update everything. I said, it's the same thing. She says, I've been doing this for like 30 years now. And she said, you think you're frustrated? I'm really frustrated with the politics of medicine. I asked her if it would be easier to try to change the American Diabetes Association, their guidelines, or would it be easier to start a new organization? And like a knee-jerk reaction, she said, oh, start a new organization. She said, the American Diabetes Association is so political.
Wow.
So
I believe it too.
I said, well, let's start a new association. So we formed the Low Carb Diabetes Association using science and the general common sense idea of eating less carbohydrate if you're diabetic.
Was it political and did people get pissed off at you for doing that? Especially the Diabetes Association.
No, it was very successful. We had a group of doctors that were like-minded all over the world, and we published articles. We all took turns writing articles. And at that point, I felt like, you know, I had done my own program, well, our own wellness program, and, you know, specifically the treatments and the recipes that I was using for the diabetics. And that's where I thought I had enough material to write a book, because I love Gary Taubes' books. I think they are phenomenal. Mm-hmm. And I mean, if you get on any sort of site that sells them and reviews, watch any of his interviews that he's done, he knows his stuff really, really well. The thing that he never did at this time, this was like 2017, is he never told you what to eat. He would just tell you what not to eat. And I'm like, well, I feel like a what to eat book would be good. And so that's why I wrote this book. So I put all the recipes together.
So it's like a health book.
Well, it's a nutrition book.
A nutrition book about what to eat. That's cool.
I originally wrote it for diabetics. But then before I published it, I decided to take the word diabetes out of the title. Because at the time I wrote this book, it was like 75% of the nation was either diabetic or pre-diabetic, and half of them didn't even know. But if you're obese, you can also not be diabetic. It's kind of crazy. There's a lot of people that have metabolisms that they can handle the extra weight, and they don't have any symptoms or signs of diabetes.
So what are signs of diabetes?
You preliminarily will have frequent urination, thirst, right? Because your blood sugar is going high, and so then you feel like you need to dilute your blood sugar, because that's why you get thirsty and you urinate all the time.
Can skinny people have diabetes?
Absolutely.
So it's not just all fat people?
Right. So either way, though, if you are pre-diabetic, or maybe you have a family history of it, or you might end up getting it just because the food in the nation's kind of hard to... Yeah.
Fast food is the worst.
Fast food is the worst. And sugar's everywhere. It's in everything. And so that's why I took it out of the title, because I feel like these concepts I have in this book on nutrition are healthy pretty much for everybody. In the process of putting this book together, I spent a lot of time on my computer, and we were taking turns in the Low Carb Diabetes Association's groups of doctors to write articles, because it's kind of time consuming to do it every month. So you know, we all took turns doing it, and I'll call her the director. She said, well, the Mayo Clinic published these trials on doing treadmill desks when people are using their computer. She said, I think that would be a good article. Why don't you research that and look into it? I said, yeah, okay. So I researched into it, and they had published this article on type 1 diabetes. And they showed that if type 1 diabetics used a treadmill desk, even 20 to 30 minutes, like 2-3 times a day, especially after meals, they can significantly reduce their blood sugar.
Please explain to me what a treadmill desk is. What is that?
So that is a treadmill that doesn't really have like that big front where normally you would hold on to something. And it has a low front where you can slide it under a standing desk.
So it's like a flat treadmill. Like
Like
there's
a flat
nothing.
treadmill.
Okay.
You can slide it under a standing desk. And they have desks where they have adjustable desks where you can go from sit to stand, or you just stand, or you can get a bigger chair.
Okay.
To sit. And you can put your computer on it, whatever. And so
it's like a desk over a treadmill, so like you can kind of walk and type and do stuff, or what?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm getting the visual. I see what you're saying.
They're very popular these days. But I contacted the Mayo Clinic and I said, hey, and then it was actually, the study was done here in Scottsdale. And so I contacted them and said, hey, I'd like to ask you about this treadmill desk thing. I said, these results for the type 1 diabetics are amazing. I said, have you ever done this with type 2 diabetics? They said, yes, we have. We had great results. I said, did you publish it somewhere? No, we weren't able to publish it. The results were so dramatic that the publishers wanted us to repeat the experiment before we publish them.
Wow.
And I said, okay, how many people could actually do a treadmill desk? He said, somewhere around like 98%. I said, because it seems like it would be difficult. They said, it's difficult at first. And I was so intrigued by it. And again, I'm using my computer all the time. And at that point, I had already transitioned like the year before to a sit-stand desk. I thought, well, I'm already got the stand desk. I might as well get a treadmill, slide it on there, and give it a try.
Oh, so you have one.
So I bought one.
Okay.
And I got on it.
Was it hard to type and walk?
At first.
Because I couldn't even like type without looking at my fingers.
Yeah, so at first it is. And you learn the undo button a lot. Well, that's a good strategy when you get one, because you're typing like, and then you fall over it or something. But I feel like it's analogous to driving. When I first learned how to drive, I was like this, and I wasn't messing with the radio, the air conditioner,
How
nothing.
fast do you have it going though?
Anywhere from a half a mile an hour to like.
So it doesn't have to go. So you don't have to like walk real fast. You could go slow.
You could.
So you got to start slow at the beginning because you're gonna.
You definitely want to start slow at the beginning. But when I was, learning how to drive, I had the same thing. I didn't want to do anything besides driving, like the radio and the air conditioner or whatever. And a few years later, like you can text and drive.
Looking at the mirror, picking your pimples as you're driving on the way on.
So it's kind of similar to that. I mean, after a few weeks, I could drink hot coffee at like 3 miles an hour.
All right.
Yeah.
So now you could drink and walk.
Drink and walk.
And type.
But if I was on the phone, and you're going more than like 2 miles an hour, people kind of, why are you breathing hard? it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird. And then if I'm watching like a video or doing a tutorial or something, then I'll crank it up to like 3, even 4 miles an hour. For the most part, using the computer, I mean, it's a pretty popular way of working these days, or studying or whatnot. But I was so impressed with the results. And it was funny because for the Low Carb Diabetes Association, I had put together a battery of physical tests, like how fast you can run 2 miles or walk a mile. I mean, there's all these things that they did at the Cooper Institute over the years, and they had metrics where you could compare yourself to the general population. When I was putting everything together for the nutrition book, I spent a long time on my computer doing that, and I had other job at the time, but I was on my computer all the time. I mean, I was doing like at least 8, sometimes 10 hours a day on my computer, and the treadmill desk was really cool. I mean, at first I would do like a mile an hour, and then I'd go for a couple hours, then I'd get a chair and I'd sit on top of the treadmill, and then I'd take a break, and then I'd come back to it. But after like 3 weeks, I could do 8 hours.
An 8-hour walk?
Yeah, you're just doing 1 to 2 miles an hour, but at the end of the day, I was doing anywhere from 8 to 16 miles.
So what treadmill would you recommend for people if they want to have a
treadmills got cheap in the last few years. Like you could buy a treadmill on Amazon, like a good one, for like $300. And they not just walking, they'll have the stand where you can actually pop up the handle and they'll go 10 miles an hour.
That's cool.
You can store it under the couch.
Yeah, I think those flat ones are so cool. When I saw the
while
flat
you're watching
treadmill,
TV and stuff, I mean, they're pretty cool.
I've never seen the flat treadmills until just recent. I'm like, what? That's kind of cool.
So when I was putting this whole thing together, this battery of tests, I was experimenting with different testing things like 1 rep max. I happened to do it like a week before I got my treadmill desk.
Oh, nice.
And then after 6 weeks, I noticed that my pants didn't fit very well. My thighs had absolutely grown. And I had been hiking on and off, and my hikes were getting easier. And I felt stronger. And I thought, I wonder if my 1 rep max went up at all. And I hadn't done any specific leg exercises besides walking on my treadmill and hiking, which I was already hiking before regularly. So the only difference was the treadmill. And my 1 rep max for my leg press went up over 100 pounds in 6 weeks.
Wow, that's cool.
And I thought, I never would have guessed that slow walking is a power exercise.
And is that what's in this book as well?
Yeah, so then before I made my nutrition book, then I thought, okay, this treadmill desk is really impressing the crap out of me. And then I started to look at the actual research on other simple activities and movement rather than exercise that you could measure on people. So they have, like pedometers and stuff, Fitbits and whatnot that measure how many steps you take a day. And I think those are fantastic. I think they're not really emphasized enough in medicine and with doctors, and especially in diabetes, because when you start being active just regularly, it sucks the sugar out of your blood. So anyway, so that's where I thought I have enough material, I think, for 2 topics. And the thing I've also learned is that movement or exercise, that can really make a difference and give you a lot of leeway when it comes to your nutrition. So that's why I wrote this thing as like step 1, move, and then like step 2, nourish. Because people don't like the word diet. That's the other thing. They don't like the word exercise, they don't like the word diet.
So you learned not to write diet in your books.
I don't write diet, I didn't write exercise, I wrote move and nourish. I feel like those are not confrontational words.
Yeah. Now, did you also write like the treadmill you had, or the treadmills that you would recommend for people to get in these books?
Yeah, but I gave the basic parameters.
And these were a long time ago as well.
Yeah, these were a while ago.
So there's probably even better treadmills than what you would recommend right now.
Oh, absolutely. I recently bought one last year, a new one, and my other one still worked. My other one, I probably had 50,000 miles on it. I had it for years, and I mean, I don't owe that thing a penny. That thing was awesome.
Nice.
But the other reason that I called this series of books this title, when I was doing nutritional counseling with patients I've probably done it over 20 years at the time of this book. I was doing nutritional counseling in a gym before I even went to medical school. So I've been doing it for a long time. I've been doing weight loss for a long, long time. And I had these elaborate computer programs that would, to the calorie, put meal plans together for patients, you print it out, shopping list, all that. And you don't get like super good compliance with most people. Like a lot of people are like, okay, yeah, they'll get excited about it, and then like 2 days later they're like, this sucks. Like I have to do this. And then of course it's difficult to like incorporate places they can go out to eat if they want to go out to eat. It kind of screws up your meal plan if you're trying to do it like to the calorie. And so over the years I kind of developed a new technique, and that was, let me just educate. Each time I would visit with patients, I'd just take a couple concepts of nutrition, and then I'd give them a recipe that follows. I said, yeah, so here's the concepts, especially for diabetes. We're talking about blood sugar, we're talking about, low carb, high fiber, when available, and then, high fat and protein. And then one of the other things too is, like, one of the concepts is having too much protein can be problematic. And that's one of the concepts I have in the book.
Too much protein could be bad, huh?
It can be bad.
Well, I do know, like, when I work out and I take more protein, like protein shakes than I can, like, you do get, I guess you could say diarrhea. You know what I mean? It's kind of
not just that, but when you eat more protein than you need, your body converts it to sugar.
Oh, wow.
Gluconeogenesis. Your liver converts it to sugar.
That's good to know. I always thought just all protein and meats are good. That's what I was like. So you just taught me something. I had no clue.
I think humans are excellent carnivores, even though we're omnivores. We can do both plants and animals.
I prefer no vegetables. I like meat.
I like meat too.
Yeah, no vegetables. Brussels sprouts. Ugh.
But I do like vegetables combined with meat. I think that's a really good blend for most
I don't.
people. But I mean, either way.
I'll eat fruit.
Do you think that there is an ideal food for humans on the planet?
Milk.
Human breast milk.
No. Cow milk.
No.
Oh.
Human breast milk. If you feed an infant cow's milk, it will make them sick or die because it's too high in protein. Human breast milk is one of the lowest protein milks, mammal milks on the planet. So if we can't handle that much protein as kids, or infants, I should say.
How are you going to handle it as an adult?
Maybe we don't need as much protein as we've been told.
So what would you recommend other than protein if we eat too much? Because I love proteins. I love my chickens. I love my steaks.
Yeah, but high-fat protein foods seem to be what humans are more adapted to.
So the more fat that's in the protein, the better off you are?
I believe the data supports that. And that's what my nutrition book supports as well. And I have all the references in the book.
And weird that's not in the food pyramid chain, huh? I wish the bottom barrel of that food chain was cheese, dairy, and milk.
Well,
that's my favorite.
The majority of
and pasta.
The majority of the world is lactose intolerant as adults.
Really?
Yeah, when I was in medical school, we were taught lactose intolerance is a condition where you have an abnormal enzyme support, whatever, enzymes in order to digest lactose, which is the sugar and dairy products. So by the time I got done with medical school, they changed it. And they said, well, actually, with the internet and everything else, it's like 65% of the adult population is lactose intolerant at the end of medical school. And so lactose intolerant became the norm for adults. Because think about it, why would you need to have the enzymes necessary to digest milk if most humans, for the history of humans, quit drinking breast milk after, whatever, a young age?
So let me ask you something. Because I do notice, like, when I eat a lot of cheese or dairy, I get a lot of mucus. I get a lot of phlegm. Why is that?
Yeah, a lot of people have that reaction to dairy. And a lot of people...
Does that mean I'm lactose intolerant?
No, lactose intolerant would be like you're not able to digest it. But a lot of people do form excessive mucus to dairy products.
That is me. And I feel like there's so much, like, I and then it's in the middle of the night where I'm, like, trying to, like, wake up and I'm, like, choking on it. It's gross.
Yeah. And then also a lot of people have allergies to dairy. And that's something totally different than lactose intolerance as well. So there are multiple reasons not to eat dairy. But if you can eat dairy, I mean, it is a good source of nutrition. However, if you look at where humans really adapted to it, it seems like only a small portion of our adult population are adapted to it.
So do you remember back in our days, because I know I'm probably aging myself right now, but it's okay, I'm still 21. Do you remember when, like they said milk, it does a body good, and there's the milk mustache and all that stuff? Was that all bullshit?
Yeah, I don't think milk is that great for most people. And again, the majority of the adult population can't even digest it.
That's insane.
I mean, you got to think specifically, like if you.
So, what kind of milk would you recommend? Like coconut milk, oatmeal milk, almond milk. Like, are all those bad?
No, I think the nut milks, which coconut milk and almond milk would be categorized as that.
So I was told though, like almond milks, don't know if this is true, allegedly, that most of the almond milks and stuff, it's barely any almonds and it's all oil.
That is very true. And
so that would be bad for you.
Well, if you make it yourself, which in my book, I talk about how to do it.
Okay.
And once you actually make it yourself, you'll never buy it again. Because the almond milk, like you said, not only does it have hardly any almonds in it, it has a bacteria in it that makes it kind of thick. It's the same bacteria that's on
in milk.
Pond scum.
The hell is pond scum?
You know, the thick
that
part
shit that's on top
of a pond. It's
so
it's the same bacteria.
That is gross. So you guys, if you want almond milk pond scum, get it at the grocery store. You're welcome. Allegedly.
Otherwise, you buy like this little net thing. It's called a nut milk bag, and it's like a sieve. It's like almost like a cheesecloth, but it's specifically for making nut milks. And you can do all kinds of nut milk. You know, you can do like pretty much any nut.
You know what I think we should do?
Almond.
We should literally have
macadamia.
We need to. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm just getting a little excited, but I think we should maybe do a course on it with one of our shows on how to make nut milk.
Yeah, we could do that.
I think that'd be really interesting since it's in your book, and it'll show like people how to do it the right way to where you're not using all that vegetable oil and all of that stuff. That would be a really good like podcast to show people the truth in health and how to make real healthy milk for your body instead of taking the cow milk.
Yeah, we could do that.
What do you guys think?
So it's these kind of things like where I would educate patients on like how to make your own milks and how to do, different concepts of nutrition and medicine. Okay, here's a recipe, try it. And when I did that, rather than just try to like dump a whole program on somebody, I realized I got a lot more compliance. Like a lot of people were more willing to make my challenge was like, try one recipe a day or every couple days. Just try one recipe. Here it is. So that's why I named the books Nudge Your Health. Try to move a little more, make a little bit more healthy meals, take the time to learn nutrition. The other reason that I selected the recipes in the book is because I already tried them out on tons of patients before I wrote the book.
Well, that's the end of our episode today. But if you are interested in buying Dr. Jesse Haggard's books, we've got 3 books here that you can either purchase on Amazon or you can go to our website at drjessehaggard.com. I hope you all have a blessed day. We look forward to talking to you soon.
Follow my podcast on drjessehaggard.com.